With the latest update adding another perk to Killing Floor 3, which ones are the best and which ones are the worst? With over 400 hours in the game, I will give you the definitive perk tier list in 2026. To clarify, this tier list ranks perks based on their own weapons along with how good they are at killing Zeds and dealing damage. Not so much for supporting the team, I'll get to why soon. Starting off with the medic, as I mentioned support being less of a factor for this tier list, this is because all perks can heal themselves effectively with their own syringes, some better than others, along with all perks being able to revive down teammates if they get close, plus many other methods for other perks to enhance their survivability. To the medic's credit, they can revive players from a distance if using a certain skill far quicker than other perks, along with being able to put out consistent healing using their weapons at a better rate than other perks, along with being able to give out certain buffs. The problem here is that any perk can switch their sidearm for 1 or 2 medic pistols, allowing them to heal other players decently too. If the medic is playing this support role, although they can deal with trash decently, still not as consistently as other perks, their gadget can help with this and survivability in a pinch though, the damage output of their weapons is lackluster, with all other perks being able to beat them at dealing damage. This means that even in a team without a medic, if everyone is dealing consistent damage, there is minimal need for healing or revival of players, compared to Killing Floor 1 and 2, where the medic is far more useful. In Killing Floor 3, I am wondering why they even kept the perk. For these reasons, and it's truly a shame, as I like to play a support medic in multiplayer, the medic has to go in the D tier, or as I like to call it, the doshless tier. So that one's doshless, it's now time for precise shots with the sharpshooter. This one has a few weapons to handle trash decently. Their freeze grenade and gadget can help in this regard too, but they are especially good against large Zeds and bosses, being able to put out more damage per shot than any other perk against those enemies. When using their powerful weapons to deal with them though, it's a waste to spend shots on smaller Zeds, unless you can line them up, which could be better handled by other perks, and sometimes no one else on the team is dealing with the odd crawler, annoying when you're trying to put down a Scrake. This is quite similar to the sharpshooter in Killing Floor 1 and 2, with them being able to handle trash if the need arises, but being far better against large Zeds and bosses. For these reasons, I will put them in the B tier. Our next perk can be a good skirmisher or even get stuck in the melee. It's the ninja. They have got a few ranged options, with their grenade counting as one of these, as well as melee weapons. Both of these sets of weapons can deal with trash quite well, and although it's safer to take down large Zeds with their ranged weapons, their melee weapons will often handle large Zeds and bosses much more quickly. They can also get many benefits from parrying, unlike other perks. Their gadget also pairs well with their weapons, allowing them to quickly get into melee, often taking out lots of small/medium Zeds, or to stun large Zeds before backing away to shoot them. I honestly feel that the melee option leads to them accumulating more damage and kills, with a greater risk of becoming downed. At any rate, this perk is good all around, earning a spot in the A tier. We now have everyone's favourite stalker revealing perk. It's the Commando. Their weapons are good overall, against everything, even large Zeds and bosses, especially with certain weapon mods, but excel at efficiently taking out trash Zeds. Their grenade and gadget can help against crowds and large Zeds, to thin numbers or bolster your firepower. They even have quite a few options to bolster their survivability, with a good skill tree overall. In comparison to Killing Floor 1 and 2, they are now good against everything, instead of simply trash, perhaps a Scrake even, or most enemies, save for flesh pounds and bosses, respectively. With all of this in mind, I feel that they also go in the A tier, ahead of the ninja, simply being easier to play. Let's move on to heating it up with the Firebug. Although their weapons are not as versatile as the Commandos, all of them are great versus trash, and one weapon in particular, Vulcan TA, even though it has been nerfed, can still be good against large Zeds, especially for Flesh Pound and bosses. Their grenade and gadget are great for crowd control and can also light up large Zeds. Their skill tree is very good overall, with many options for damage and survivability available. In comparison to Killing Floor 1 and 2, they are better overall against everything, with them having a few options against large large Zeds, or even great consistent ground fire respectively. Taking all of these factors into consideration, I think they belong in the A tier as well, ahead of the Commando, being easier to play once again. Our penultimate entry now, with an interesting arsenal, we have the Engineer. All their weapons are great versus trash in different ways, with them all being at least decent against large Zeds and bosses, but in particular, their tier 4 weapon, the Ifrit, is great against them. Most bosses and flesh pounds more so than Scrakes, but they can still take them down quite quickly, whilst also being great for crowd control. Their grenade helps against crowds too, along with their gadget, which can also be used to help take down large Zeds and bosses. Their skill tree is varied, allowing for many different playstyles in terms of survival, dealing damage, and even helping the team to deal more damage. Considering the usefulness of the Engineer, I think this one tops the A tier, not so much for its ease of use, but for its crowd control and damage output. Onto the most recent addition, our final entry, the Gunslinger. All of their weapons, save for their sidearm and perhaps their tier 1, are great against trash, large Zeds, and bosses with good damage, penetration, a high rate of fire, and good, if not great, reload speeds. Their grenade helps against all enemies too, being able to suck in and stun them, honestly feeling overpowered. On top of this, their gadget also feels overpowered, being an aimbot in your hands essentially, that can even perform crowd control with certain high-level skills. Speaking of skills, their skill tree grants them even more power in many ways, with many of their skills pushing their gadget, grenade, and general weapon power far beyond the power level of other perks, making them truly out of balance. In comparison to the Gunslinger from Killing Floor 2, the Gunslinger here is functionally better in every way, but for the wrong reasons, whilst back then you had to be much more careful with when you chose to run, shoot, reload, or hold a position, along with how you place your shots, for example. This means that, given the ranking standards of this tier list, the Gunslinger has to go in the S tier for being so very effective, but I dare say, once again, for the wrong reasons. In conclusion, the Gunslinger is at the top, but they are only at the top due to, what I feel, are imbalances in its weapons and skill tree relative to all the other perks. They can be suitably nerfed in the future to be more in line with the other perks, who even now, though, are still usable, including the Medic, who I still appreciate giving out and receiving the fast revives from. Experiment with weapon loadouts to find out what works for you with that perk. As a reminder, this tier list is based on my experience of the game, making it subjective. Now you know what the best perks are for getting kills and dealing damage, but how will you deal with bosses? Check out this playlist for great strategies to beat them. Many thanks for watching, goodbye for now.